How we doing, everybody? It is Tuesday, and welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I am your host, Trage. Today we are recapping that Packer game last night, whatever you want to call that. It's not even a butt kicking. It's not even a. It's a terrible performance. That's what I'm going to chalk it up to be. There was some bright spots, but it was otherwise a terrible performance in this one by the offense once again. Here, I thought the defense didn't play bad in this last one, but the offense struggled, and the Packers ended up on the losing side. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get into the Badgers a little bit of Badger football talk, recap a little bit more over the weekend, what we saw, what we liked about that game there. And then we'll see what's going on with Wisconsin sports here today and just kind of cover it all. See what's going on, any kind of news lines or anything like that that we need to cover here. But with that, we are going to jump right into the Packer game last night. Monday Night Football underneath the lights in Las Vegas. 17-13 was the final score in this one. Packers on the losing side of that score there. First quarter started out pretty good for this Packers team, I thought. A lot of play action, trying to get A.J. Dillon more involved in the offense, and I thought they were rolling right down the field. Let's just look at the play-by-play here. The first drive for the Packers in this one, and it was... trying to jump back here to the first half. In that first half, it started out with the Packers. A.J. Dillon up the middle for 4. Another 4-yard gain there, then 3. Then they were going short stuff. They were going to Luke Musgrave in play action. They were starting to work at getting a little bit of misdirection on this Raiders team, and then it just went south. They started to go away from it. They were starting to try to hit the deep shot again. Look at that 3rd and 3. They went deep to the middle for Jaden Reed, incomplete, and that's what killed that drive. There also a penalty on that drive. Pushed it right back, and it was surprising that the Packers then went away from it. Then you look at the next drive, set up by the punt by the Raiders there. They had a field goal on that drive there, and it started out again. A.J. Dillon went on the right side there for 8 yards. A.J. Dillon again went to Jordan Love, scrambled for 26 yards. Then a short pass to the tight end there, Degora. Then Christian Watson to the left. He got knocked in the backfield there for -5. Love again went short to Reed for 7. They went short middle, incomplete pass there. Josh Myers was downfield, ended up getting it called back. But you look at those 2 drives there, a lot of short stuff, a lot of trying to get A.J. Dillon involved in the offense. Then you look at some of these other drives here for the Packers, and it was a lot of trying to throw the ball a lot, not getting the run game involved. Next drive out, 4 plays, 11 yards, punt. It ended up in a punt there. A.J. Dillon wasn't out on the field for you. 1st and 10, you start with a short, it was a short right to Sims on that one. 12 yards for Jordan Love on that one there. But then they went back to the run, -3. 2 straight pass plays resulted in nothing for the Packers there and kicked off the field right away. A lot of early down struggles here is what is showing here. You look at the next drive for the Packers. Jordan Love was picked off a couple times in this ball game, and a lot of ill-advised throws by Jordan Love. But what surprises me with the Packers is they get something going. The play action is going. We're getting A.J. Dillon involved. You look at the touchdown drive for the Packers, and it was A.J. Dillon straight up the field. A.J. Dillon to the left, 5 yards. Jordan Love got sacked. Pass short right to Musgrave for 3. Right back to A.J. Dillon. Right back to A.J. Dillon, all the way into the end zone for a touchdown. So why do you keep trying to jump back and forth? Why do we keep trying new things in there? If something's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, is the philosophy. And yet we're trying to fix something that isn't broke. You look at these drives. How did they start? A.J. Dillon was actually having a decent game. I didn't think A.J. Dillon had a terrible game. We saw A.J. Dillon finally find a hole, go through the hole. The offensive line was rolling for a while there, especially on this touchdown drive for the Packers. The offensive line was rolling. Everything was going right for the Packers on that drive. And then you look at the next drive there, resulted in a field goal for the Packers. Another drive, A.J. Dillon got it going. They went deep for Watson, 77 yards. Then Dillon, -2. Dillon for a yard. Incomplete pass by Love, ended up with a field goal out of it. That was a killer right there for this Packers team. I thought that drive right there needed to end in a touchdown. You look at how that drive set up. Deep left to Watson for 77 yards. Set him up at the 6. Well, he was tackled at the 6. Ended up at the 3 after the horse collar penalty. And then from the 3, nothing could happen from there. That is a killer right there. That was in the third quarter there. That was early on in the third. I do believe that all transpired right there. But that was a huge moment in this ball game. That could have been a game changer. Could have changed the complexion of the outcome of this game here. Because then you look at the rest of the way, field goal from the Packers there on their next drive after. That was the field goal drive. After that, interception, 10-play drive, ended in an interception by Jordan Love. Attempted for Watson again. I felt like he tried to force it to Watson a lot. There was a couple of spots Watson wasn't open. You look at that last play of the game there. Watson is not open. You try to go to him. You had short stuff. It was like I was watching Aaron Rodgers all over again. Aaron Rodgers had that thing with Davante Adams. I need to throw to Davante Adams. And you watch the under routes. On that interception, you look back and you look at the Dobbs was open or Jaden Reed was open. Musgrave was open on that last play there where he threw the interception. Why not go for the short yardage? There was, I believe, when he threw that interception, there was 44 seconds left. No timeouts. You had enough time after Musgrave, whether he got tackled inbounds, out of bounds, if you had to clock it, you had enough time to clock it. There was time left in this ball game, and you tried to force, on the run, tried to force a ball that should have been thrown over the top to begin with. You threw it under. Could have been called pass interference. There was a little bit of pushing and shoving both ways. It's a tough spot. As a referee, you don't want to get involved in those situations if you don't have to. And didn't get the call there. Wanted the call, didn't get the call. That's the game of football for you right there. And you just wish some of these drives where the Packers had something going. You look at this 8-play drive to end the game there, and they had something going. They were rolling right down the field. Short passes were the game plan in this one. Short passes were what was working. Getting the run game going with A.J. Dillon and working it slow through the play action and just the short methodical stuff. You try to go long. The one to Watson. That was Watson's explosiveness too, adding on to the end of that catch. But throughout the game here, Max Crosby was constantly in the backfield. He had a huge game for the Raiders. Short stuff was key. Jordan Love got flushed out of the pocket, and when he's on the run, the accuracy, the throwing ability goes downhill. He has been struggling in the pocket at times throwing the football, now making him run. That's making it even worse. The short stuff allows him to be able to relax, be able to get the ball out earlier, and be able to hit those receivers in stride and not have to run around in the backfield for 45 minutes. I thought the Packers' game plan to start was very good, especially working the play action and trying to get A.J. Dillon involved, and you went away from it. You weren't losing this game by a lot. It was before they put that, before the Raiders scored that touchdown, you were up 13-10. And you look at the rest of these drives here for the Packers, even when you went down 17-13 there on that drive where you had the interception, you look at the usage of players on that drive. A.J. Dillon, he had his yards on that drive. 3 yards on the first play of the drive. You know, as a running back to start a possession on a 1st and 10, 3 to 5 yards, you'll take that. I mean, it's not a bad gain right there. 3 to 5 yards. Now you set yourself up 2nd and 5. Versus some of these drives you watch Packers, they start out the drive 1st and 10. We're going to try to air it out. Okay, now it's 2nd and 10. Or holding. Kicks you back to 2nd and 15. Or 1st and 15. Sorry about that. 1st and 15. But you understand what I'm saying with it. This Packer team right now finds something. It seems to be working, and we go away from it. We don't stay with it. We don't work with it. We just roll it. We're like, Well, we'll try this now. We'll try to throw a different look at him. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It wasn't broke. They tried to fix it. It failed. It failed miserably. They went away from the stuff that was working. They tried to mix stuff in. There was times where running at Max Crosby was the best thing you could do. Pulling a guy. Keeping A.J. Dillon in the backfield there to help block or to help Jordan Love have extra time back there. I thought those were huge plays there early on in the game. Packers went away from them. The Raiders, they didn't do anything special in this game. And actually, I thought the Packers played a pretty good game against Jimmy Garoppolo. They kept Davante Adams as a non-factor in this game through the half. He ended up in the game with 45 yards on 4 catches. He had a couple of big catches there late in the game. They got him involved, but the Packers did a pretty good job on him. They kept him covered up. But you look in this one, you had guys like Quay Walker and Darnell Savage go out early on in this one. I think Walker was in the second quarter. I do believe Darnell Savage was in the second quarter too. Those two both go out early on for the Packers, and I thought Quay Walker was having a very good game for the Packers before he went out. Before he went out, he actually had 3 solo tackles on the game, 4 tackles in total, and I believe he had a tackle for a loss too. Yeah, I mean, he was playing a good game for the Packers here. Kenny Clark had a big game. They were putting the pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo in this game, and that's what forced the turnovers out of Jimmy. He had 1 interception in this one. That was huge, but you look at the flip side of it for Jordan Love, 3 interceptions out of Jordan Love. The pressure got to Jordan Love, and he made mistakes. And that's what we've been seeing a lot more lately out of Jordan Love is the pressure. When the pressure turns up, Jordan Love is not ready for that pressure. You know, going into the year here, it looked like Jordan Love was calm, cool, collected. Everything was good. And he still looks calm, cool, and collected. But now you're seeing the calm, cool, collected. But at the same time, when the pressure's on and the pressure's there, the ill-advised throws start to tick up a little bit. Trying to force the ball into spots and throwing into double coverage has been a killer for Jordan Love. And it showed in this game here. Also, you look, 2 sacks for 7 yards on Jordan Love, 3 sacks for the Packers against Jimmy Garoppolo in this one. And then Josh Jacobs was also tackled for a loss in the backfield in this one. But you look at the difference in the run game here. A.J. Dillon, 76 yards on 20 carries. Now, 20 carries for 76 yards, that doesn't seem like it's great. But like I was talking about yesterday in the recap here, or in the preview, A.J. Dillon's a bruiser back. He's not I'm going to burn you with my speed. I'm going to run you over. You watch him run through a hole, and you wonder why he doesn't see the hole half the time. His head's straight down at the ground because he's trying to barrel over somebody. He's meeting the first linebacker he sees in a hole, and he's going to bury him. They used him correctly on that 4th, I think it was 4th and 2, or 4th and 2, 4th and 1, and they converted, and that's what A.J. Dillon does. That's what he is as a back. But that's where you have to get, if Aaron Jones isn't going to be ready to go, you have to find that other back that's going to be that speed threat for you out of the backfield. A.J. Dillon's not that guy. People like to get on A.J. Dillon because he's supposed to be that guy. He wasn't signed to be that guy. He is your basically fullback of your offense here. He's not the first down back that's going to get you 10. Maybe if he cracks one off up the middle. But he is great when he runs between the tackles. He gets to that secondary. He's going to lay somebody out. They're going to catch him. They're going to drag him down. But he's going to keep those legs turning. That's what A.J. Dillon is for the Packers. He showed it in this game. 20 carries for 76 yards. You're averaging 3 a carry. He was banging out short yard gains for this Packers team. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with a guy? If you give A.J. Dillon 20 carries for 76 yards, he upticks that, say, 20 carries for 83 yards the next game. I have no problem with that. That is what I'm expecting out of a guy like A.J. Dillon. He's not a speed threat. He is a big back. 260 pounds. He's a big guy. That's his job, is to be the bruiser of this team. Aaron Jones' job is to be, I can hit you on a sweep, some kind of sweep, some kind of play action, some kind of running back screen, and you're going to get me 20 yards. You're going to get me 30 yards. You're going to make a guy miss in the open field. A.J. Dillon can make a guy miss. It's going to look slow. It's going to look like a turtle trying to swerve a moving car, but it's going to happen. It's just a matter of Aaron Jones is your, like I've been saying, side-to-side mover. A.J. Dillon is that bruiser up the middle. That's what people need to see. You're trying to make a running back 2, a guy who is best at a running back 2. Not your 1, your 2. And you're trying to make him your number 1, and that's where Packer fans need to realize that is not A.J. Dillon. I thought he had a pretty good game. I really did. 1 touchdown, 76 yards, 20 carries. If you're going to give him that many carries, that's how many yards I expect. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe 85. Maybe he cracks me off for 85 on 20 carries. That's what I'm going to get out of A.J. Dillon. He is an average back. He's not a over-the-top back. He's not an all-pro back. He is a fullback trying to play a running back position on a team that doesn't really use the fullback anymore. And that is where I'm at with A.J. Dillon. They need to, if Aaron Jones is not going to be back, they need to find a running back 1. The guy who you want in there as your speed threat. A guy similar to Aaron Jones. You might not find as good as Aaron Jones. See, you look at the difference between A.J. Dillon and like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a bruiser, but Derrick Henry can move. He's got some wheels. A.J. Dillon doesn't have the wheels that Derrick Henry has. Derrick Henry's a big guy who can move it too. He gets that weight going downhill. He can move. A.J. Dillon's not that guy. He will never be that guy for this Packers team. That's where he sits. If you don't like it, then they need to move on from A.J. Dillon and find a running back 2 who's equivalent to a Aaron Jones. We like to watch Aaron Jones. He's fast. He's fast through the hole. A.J. Dillon's slow and methodical, but he's going to crack you off 4 yards. He's going to get that 4-yard gain and get you that first down on 4th and 2. That's A.J. Dillon for you. And I thought he played a great game in this one. Looking at some other guys in this one, Patrick Taylor played a little bit, 2 carries for 2 yards. Again, didn't really use another back in this one. Didn't use him for anything productive, just to give A.J. Dillon a little bit of a break there. Use Patrick Taylor a little bit more in the pass game. He was 2 receptions for 5 yards. Not terrible, but he wasn't really a factor in the pass game for him. Christian Watson, that big 77-yard catch was the difference in him in this one. 3 catches for 91 yards in this one. Luke Musgrave, 6 catches for 34 yards. A lot of those catches came early on. Luke Musgrave was involved in that play-action game for the Packers, and I thought that was big to get Luke Musgrave more involved in it, and they went away from it. They didn't stick with that. The slow stuff. The A.J. Dillon, crack him off for 4, then we go to play-action to Luke Musgrave. Maybe get the receivers involved here. You look at some of the other guys. Joshua DeGuara, he had 19 yards on 1 catch. Ben Sims, 1 catch for 12 yards. Dontavian Wicks, he had 1 catch for 10 yards. Jane Reed, 1 catch for 7. Romeo Doubs, a non-factor in this one, really for the Packers. 1 catch for 4 yards in this one. It really showed he didn't really look Doubs' way in this ball game. I thought Doubs was open on a couple plays. I think Jordan Love overlooked him and looked more towards Christian Watson for the deep ball here. 7 targets for Christian Watson, only 3 catches in this one. He was looking a lot Christian Watson's way. Maybe should have been trying to spread the wealth, work the ball around. It started to kind of look like I was working with Aaron Rodgers when I was looking out on the field there, as much as he was looking towards one guy the entire game here. But other than that, they did a decent job off the bat, keeping Josh Jacobs kind of held in. Josh Jacobs cracked off a couple big ones there, a big 24-yard run, and then he had 1 touchdown on this game, but an average of 3.5 yards per carry. So they did a good job on the run game, controlling the run game, and keeping Jimmy Garoppolo under pressure in this one. But Jimmy played a decent game for the Raiders in this one, made the throws when he had to, and it showed 17-13. He won a dogfight. That's all that it was. He won a barn burner of a game in this one. He used his receivers when he had to. Jacoby Myers, 7 catches for 75 yards. Like I said, Devontae, 4 catches for 45. Michael Mayer, he had 2 catches for 39 yards. Josh Jacobs, 5 catches for 20. Austin Hooper, 2 for 11. And Hunter Renfrow was held in check by this Packers defense. 1 catch for 7 yards in this one on 2 targets. Packers defense didn't play a bad game in this one. McDuffie, Clark, Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary, and Preston Smith all had 1 tackle for a loss in this one. Kingsley Egabar actually played a good game for the Packers in this one. He came in for Quay Walker there a lot in that, or late in this ball game, and played a decent game. 3 tackles, 1 sack in this ball game for Kinsley. He had 2 tackles for a loss in this one, 1 quarterback hit. Jair, he had 1 tackle. That's about it for the notables out there in this one. Yeah, that's about it for notables in this ball game on the defensive side. But for the Raiders defensively in this one, it was a pretty good game for Max Crosby. 4 solo tackles in this one, 1 sack, 4 tackles for loss. Max Crosby was all over the place in this ball game. You had to control Crosby. We talked about it. The game changers for the Raiders in this one was going to be Max Crosby, Jimmy. You had to control Jimmy in the pocket and put some pressure on him. I thought the Packers did a good job early on. It kind of got a little bit lax later on in the game. And you had to control Davante Adams. They did a good job controlling Davante Adams up until late in that ball game when the Raiders finally got him involved and he cracked off for a couple of big plays in this one. Robert Spillian had 2 interceptions for the Raiders in this one. Rudy Ford had a big interception for the Packers. Other than that, you held Daniel Carlson. I talked about him yesterday, the opposite side of the Carlson family. And Daniel Carlson, usually money kicking the football, 1 for 3 in this ball game, hit both of his extra points, but missed 2. Missed 2 field goals in this one, missed 1 late in the ball game. And I said the special teams were going to come up big for the Raiders, and it failed them. And I thought that would be the key for the Packers to win this ball game, and they could not do it. Anders Carlson, 2 for 2 on his field goals, though, in this one, and 1 extra point. His long was 37. He won the battle. He won the battle, at least in this one. Anders Carlson did. He won the brotherly battle out there on this football field. So again, Packers dropped to 2-3 on this young season yet, and the Raiders moved to 2-3 on the season, 1-1 at home so far this year. I just want to look around the scoreboard here over the weekend and look at some of the notable games. Like we talked about last Thursday, Chicago got the win there against the Commanders. Screwed me in my pick'em league. That's all I know. I picked the Bears to beat the Broncos. And I was like, Bears, Broncos, Bears will get their first win. Bunch of guys in my pick'em league. I think there's like 15, maybe 18 in there. Everybody picked the Broncos. I was the one person to pick the Bears. 28-7, I was like, man, this is going to be my decider this week. I picked the one upset. Not really an upset. They both sucked. And I was like, man, I picked the one game nobody else did. I got it. I got this. 28-7, I got this. They lose. 31-28. Somehow, only Chicago could figure out a way. This is why I hate Chicago. I hate the Cubs. Now I hate the Bears even more. How do you figure out a way to lose that game? That's what I want to know. Then you come back against the Commanders, and I was like, I love what Sam Howell's doing with the Washington Commanders right now. They have a pretty good season going on right now. I'm like, yeah, no chance, the Bears. No chance. You just blew a game against Broncos. No chance you beat the Commanders in this one. 40-20. 40-20. Sam Howell goes for 388. DJ Moore has 230 yards receiving, basically behind the line of scrimmage. He takes off. And Khalil Herbert goes for 76, and it's a 40-20 finish. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to lose my pick'em league. Thank God it was only a $50 buy-in, because otherwise I would be flat out broke in this one. This is why I don't bet. This is why I don't go to Vegas to bet. This is why I don't do any of those apps to bet. I just know the bad side of it's coming, and I will lose it all. And this shows right here. The Bears suck. Everybody knows the Bears suck. We thought the Commanders were turning it around out there. They shut down the petition to change their name back. We thought they were finally getting some solitude out there. We're staying as the Commanders. We're going to figure something out and become a competent football team, and we lose to the Bears. Oh, that was a rough one. That was a rough one to watch. But Bears get the win over Washington there. Jacksonville wins another game overseas there against Buffalo. Josh Allen goes for 359 in that one. Travis Etienne for the Jacksonville Jaguars goes for 136. Calvin Ridley, 122 yards receiving. The Jacksonville Jaguars have something special overseas. If the Jacksonville Jaguars could play all of their games overseas in London, they would go undefeated. And if the Super Bowl was held there, they'd win the Super Bowl. Because Jacksonville Jaguars, something about them overseas. I tell you what, their win looked more impressive when it was on Toy Story. I watched the Toy Story version of that. Slinky Dog was the 10 yards. I was like, this is something right here. And honestly, out of all the things they've tried to do with sports, and they did that Nickelodeon thing where they had SpongeBob and Patrick on there and all kinds of stuff like that, I thought that was, that was nothing special. I thought the Toy Story version of that football game was something to watch, that's for sure. I thought it made it interesting, honestly. They had a little turbo booster behind the guys when he started to run. They had the little alien up there in the sky cam. He was looking through his one eye to look down his telescope there. I mean, it was actually something to watch. So I was impressed. I was impressed with how they did that. But Jacksonville gets another win there. Houston and Atlanta came down to the final seconds. Houston couldn't hold on. Atlanta kicks the field goal in the final seconds. Desmond Ridder had one of his best games of his NFL career, threw for 329 yards. Dameon Pierce for the Texans went for 66 yards on the ground, and Kyle Pitts had 87 yards receiving in that one. Carolina, Detroit. I expected Carolina to play a little bit better in this one. I thought they'd keep Detroit honest. I liked what Carolina was doing with their defense here this season. Not so much after watching this one. Detroit kind of picked them apart in this one. Detroit 42-24. They picked up the win in that one. Bryce Young went for 247 yards through the air. David Montgomery, 109 yards on the ground, and Adam Thielen went for 107 yards through the air. So I thought Carolina didn't play a bad game in this one. They have a lot of growing pains to go through, but I do see Carolina on the up and coming right now. It's them and the Texans. I got to say, before I get too far away from the Texans, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud are both some pretty impressive quarterbacks to watch right now. C.J. Stroud just broke the record for most pass attempts without an interception or something like that, I'm pretty sure. Either way, it's not to do with the Packers. So, but two impressive rookie quarterbacks right there. Tennessee and the Colts. Colts held on 23-16 in that one. Jonathan Taylor, big Wisconsin guy. Got to talk about JT. He returned to the Colts on like a $44 million deal, I do believe. But Zach Moss is also third in the league in rushing yards right now. So a little bit of controversy there with the Colts right now. Why sign back Jonathan Taylor for so much when you have a pretty good back right now with Zach Moss? Beyond me. But looking around a little bit more here, New York lost to the Miami Dolphins 31-16. Tua went for 308 yards through the air. Devon Akani went for 151 yards on the ground, and Tyreek Hill 181 yards receiving in this one. New Orleans put the shellacking on the New England Patriots. Derek Carr, 183 yards through the air in this one. Alvin Kamara, 80 yards rushing, and Michael Thomas went for 65 yards receiving in this one. Baltimore couldn't hang on versus Pittsburgh. I do believe it was an interception late in that one, was the key difference. Kenny Pickett hooked up with George Pickens late in that one and got the win. Lamar Jackson went for 236 through the air, though. Gus Edwards, 48 yards on the ground, and George Pickens, like I said, 130 yards and a big touchdown catch late. Philadelphia took care of the Rams 23-14. Jalen Hurts went for 303 yards through the air, also led the team in rushing, 72 yards, and A.J. Brown, 127 yards receiving in that one. Cincinnati took care of the Cardinals. Good to see Joe Burrow finally playing some good football this year. 317 yards through the air. Joe Mixon, 81 yards rushing. And Jamar Chase, 192 yards receiving in this one. Impressive work out of the Bengals there. Maybe turning a corner here early on in the season. And maybe they'll get back to winning ways. What we expect to see out of this young Cincinnati Bengal team. The Jets got the win versus the Denver Broncos. Zach Wilson went for 199 yards through the air in this one. Breece Hall, 177 yards on the ground. And Samaj Pernier went for 73 yards receiving. Impressive work there out of the New York Jets. Kind of a complimentary offense there. 199 yards from Zach Wilson through the air, and Breece Hall, 177 yards. That's some even offense, if you ask me, right there. Minnesota, poor Minnesota. It seems like they're starting to turn a leaf. As much as I don't want to say it as a Packer guy, it seems like Minnesota's kind of turning over a new leaf. 27-20, they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. Kirk Cousins, 284 yards through the air in this one. Isaiah Pacheco, he had 55 yards on the ground, and Travis Kelce, 67 yards through the air. The defense for Minnesota has been the downfall all season long. We know Kirk Cousins is a consistent quarterback. He's not going to do anything crazy. He's going to do just enough to keep you in the ball game. The defense has to step up for him. The defense has not been able to step up for the Vikings so far this year, but you had the hot Kansas City Chiefs. They're always good coming to town, and you played a decent game against them. You had your chances in that one. Couldn't take advantage. Chiefs get the win. The surprising game of the week. It's not surprising because San Francisco won. It's surprising because they won like they did. 42-10. San Francisco beat the Cowboys in this one. Brock Purdy went for 252. Jordan Mason went for 69, and George Kittle for 67 yards receiving. Dak Prescott had 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions in this one. Just Brock Purdy is slowly showing us day by day why he needs to stay and why he should be in some talks for long-term extensions. I've heard people comparing him to Joe Montana. Brock Purdy is a difference maker out there on the football team, or out there on the football field. I did not expect that out of Brock Purdy. It's been some impressive play so far this season from Brock Purdy, even leading into last season. I mean, he's been a consistent quarterback, hasn't lost as a starter. The one loss that the 49ers have that he was there was the NFC Championship game where he technically got hurt in that one. They didn't have a quarterback left after, was it Josh Johnson? I can't remember what the heck his name was now. Got hurt also for the 49ers in that one. Brock Purdy, proven every single day he deserves to be in the conversation for just about everything right now because he is leading this 49ers team. He just led them through one of the best defenses in all of football in the Dallas Cowboys with one of the best defensive players in Micah Parsons. And Monday Night Football, Green Bay, Las Vegas, like we know, the Vegas Raiders beat the Packers 17-13. Garoppolo led in passing, 208 yards. A.J. Dillon, 76 yards on the ground. And Christian Watson, 91 yards receiving in that one. So that is the wrap-up of Week 5 in the NFL. We're going to jump over into college football. And we don't talk a lot of college football, so I figured we jump into a little bit. And we're going to talk the Badgers, just to kind of talk a little bit more in this one. The Badgers' defense in this last game against Rutgers, they came up huge for them there, held them to 2 scores in the games. The Knights only had 5 first downs in the first half and picked up 119 yards of offense. Rutgers went 1 of 6 on first downs in the first half there. Their one sole shot at a score in the first half was that Hallman pick 6, led to a 95-yard score there on that pick 6 there. That was huge for the Badgers in this one. Struggling on offense, only finding the end zone once on an Allen 8-yard touchdown and a field goal up to that point in that ball game. Allen did, however, he fumbled earlier on there on the 4 earlier in that game. So you had your chances earlier on to punch it in again. Allen made the mistake, fumble, did make up for it with that touchdown. And the Badgers did win that turnover the Badgers did lose that turnover battle in that game. They had 2 fumbles on the game there with Allen and Rucci in the ball game there. So Badgers played a pretty good game against Rutgers. Look for good things coming forward, getting a little bit more complimentary football. But the best thing for the Badgers that they can do is to get Braylon Allen more involved in this offense. That is going to be key for the Badgers moving forward here through the rest of the season, especially going against an Iowa team. But Iowa very stingy on defense there, so you're going to have to be able to upload all facets of your football game. You're going to have to work through play action. You're going to have to work on the run, and you're going to have to be able to throw the ball in this one. You have to keep Iowa honest coming up here this weekend for the Badgers. So hopefully some good things coming forward for the Badgers. We're going to keep talking about the Badgers all week here. We're going to keep talking about the Packers. We're going to have to keep updated on what's been going on there with both of them throughout the week here. News stories. Was surprising to see over the weekend here the Red River rivalry. I say that 10 times fast and you just screw it up. That was a very good game there. It was impressive to see Oklahoma play such a great game. I thought Texas, I was watching Texas all season long here, and Quinn Ewers and this Texas team have just been rolling. You watch them, and this offense is so fluent. The defense has been playing great. And leading into that game, I thought Oklahoma was going to be a pretty good game, but I thought Texas had the edge in this one. It turned out to be the flip side. Oklahoma came in hot. They kept rolling throughout that ball game, and Oklahoma, the deciding factor was late. Texas defense had some faults there late in the game. Oklahoma took it straight down the field there, and with minimal time left, put it in the end zone. It was a great game to watch. Sucks because I'm a closet Texas fan. Behind the scenes, behind the Badgers, I am a Texas fan, and it sucked to see Oklahoma take that one. Kind of put a damper on the Texas Longhorn season here. Still have that shot at the college football playoff, but now a lot more work to do throughout the rest of this one. Another game that was impressive was Georgia completely just shellacking Kentucky. And that wasn't even a game. You look at this one, 14-0. 14-0 at the end of the first quarter in this one. Looking at the rest of the game here, Georgia put up 20 in the second, 10 in the third, and then 7 in the fourth against the Kentucky defense. Leading into this one, I thought it was going to be a decent game. Kentucky has had their struggles, but Georgia has struggled as of late. Had a late game win against Auburn. I didn't really expect this to be a blowout. And Georgia kind of proved to everybody, they just said, hey, we're still here. We still run college football. We just wanted to remind you guys one more time. Flipping script there, going over to the Big Ten, Ohio State had their hands full with Maryland. 10-10 at the half. Maryland in that second half there in the third quarter did score a touchdown there. Ohio State answered, had their answers, went up. They had a 22-17 lead there at one point. And then Ohio State in the fourth took over 17 unanswered in that fourth quarter. 37-17 was the finish. I thought, though, Maryland was impressive in that ball game against Ohio State. Hung around in there. They just ran out of gas. They ran out of that. They ran out of schemes, ran out of everything that was going right in that first half against Ohio State. Looking around the scoreboard, we love to see it. Minnesota completely gets just demolished by Michigan there. 52-10 was the final score there. J.G. McCarthy went for 219 yards and 1 touchdown in this one. Another surprising game, USC. The struggle of USC's defense has been put on red alert now after this Arizona game. 3 overtimes it took USC to take down Arizona. Arizona actually had a 17-14 lead at the half. Coming out of the half there, 21-20 going into the fourth. Arizona put up 8 in that fourth quarter there. USC with 7, tied it up there to go to overtime. And it was back and forth in overtime. Arizona played a pretty good game against this USC defense. You look at the quarterback for Arizona in this one. His last name, Fifita? We're going to call him Fafita, like fajita. It doesn't look like fajita at all, but we're going to call him Fajita Boy. Fajita went for 303 yards in this one, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception on the ball game. You look at all the top performers in this game, it really was the Arizona Wildcats in this one. 303 yards from the quarterback. Look at their running back there, 22 carries for 143 yards. Top receiver in this one was McMillan from Arizona, 6 catches for 138 yards. Arizona proved, once again, USC's defense, they need to be looked at a little bit stronger. And coming up here, they have Notre Dame against USC here this weekend. That is going to be a good game just because USC's defense has been struggling. I think Notre Dame can take advantage of that, and I think Notre Dame has a great possibility to pull off an upset there against USC. Notre Dame did take another loss, though. Louisville, number 25, Louisville, took care of Notre Dame 33-20. Louisville had all the answers in this one. Hartman, 3 interceptions on this one for Notre Dame, had 254 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Louisville played a pretty good game, and I think they put the rest of the college football world on notice that Louisville is back. I got to tell you, though, Notre Dame's schedule on the season, that's a rough one to look at. You started the year, you had Navy, Tennessee State, NC State, and Central Michigan. Relatively easily sledding. You went 42-3, you beat Navy. 56-3, you beat Tennessee State. NC State played you a little bit better, 45-24. Central Michigan was a 41-17 game. Then you played number 6 Ohio State. Lost that one 17-14. Played number 17 Duke at the time. 21-14 finish. Then you ended up with Louisville, 33-20 loss. And now you play number 10 USC. Just a rough schedule for Notre Dame. I know you have to do it as an independent league team, but just struggle to watch this team play so many rough games in a row. You don't even see this when you play. I mean, the SEC's got some tough games, but you're going to play some easier opponents throughout your SEC season. Even the Big 12, even the Big 10. You're going to get some of those lower level teams in the Big 10. This Notre Dame team has now went through the gauntlet of their season here. If you beat USC, you come out of it 2-4. That's impressive. They would be 2-2 coming through there. Sorry, they'd be 2-2 coming through there. That's an impressive stretch if you ask me. Louisville, pretty good football team. Ohio State, proven to be a good football team. Duke, they're underrated there in the ACC. I thought they played pretty good this year. And then USC, if you beat this USC team, it puts you on the map. You're not in the college football playoff conversation anymore, but some higher bowl games here come the New Year's 6. I think Notre Dame could still be in the conversation with a win over USC. And then you still play Clemson yet later on this season, couple weeks after USC at Clemson. So a couple more chances for Notre Dame to make it up there. Other notable games, Alabama got the win over Texas A&M. UCLA pulled off the win over Washington State. Oregon State got the win over Cal, and that is about it. Other than that, they had a high-scoring game, LSU and Missouri, 49-39 was the finish in that one. And Fresno State was upset by Wyoming there. And he really counted as an upset. Fresno State was 24. Yeah, it wasn't really an upset. But a lot of big games there in college football this last weekend. We're going to be talking about the upcoming college football slate, also talking about the upcoming NFL slate, and getting into a little bit more of the NBA preseason. We will have the Bucks to cover tomorrow night, so we'll have a little bit of Bucks news. We're going to be covering it all here on Wisconsin Sports on the Go. We're going to dip into the outer nationwide sports talk, just talking about it all, getting it all out there for you guys so you guys can keep up to date on what's going on around in your favorite leagues. Also, pretty soon here, going to be talking about some college basketball. I believe the red-white scrimmage for the Badgers is on October 16th. Opening tip for their first game is November 1st. So, a lot of sports coming full fold right now. And then also looking over at the... Oh, before we forget, before we jump too far here and get out of here, we have to check out the MLB slate right now. Today, looking like we're going to have the Astros and Twins there in Game 3. Series tied 1 apiece. Javier is going to be going for Houston. Sonny Gray for the Twins. I've been surprised with the Twins, honestly. I've been surprised. I did not see them as a really big postseason threat, and they're giving the Astros all they can handle right now. Royce Lewis is playing great. Carlos Correa, hate him if you want because of what happened with the Astros and everything like that, but he is a postseason performer, and he's putting on a performance again for the Twins. This is a great series. I do believe it's going to go 5. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that one's going to go 5. And then the Orioles on the ropes. Game 3 against the Rangers here tonight. That is going to be a 7:03 start. Kremer is going for Baltimore. Nathan Eovaldi is going for Texas. It's in Arlington now. Orioles fell behind. They have to work their way back on the road here. This is going to get dicey for the Orioles. Can the Orioles make the comeback? I don't know. I think the Orioles can win Game 3. Game 4, still in Texas. I think that one is going to be up in the air, but if I'm a bet man, I'd take the Rangers Game 4 if the Orioles pull it off in Game 3. But other than that, that is about all I have for today. For Wisconsin sports, for national sports, for everything there has to do with sports. I just want to say thank you guys for listening. This has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trades. Thank you guys for listening. Deuces.